I was working as a primary school teacher, so I taught special needs in a primary school, and then moved into social work from that. So I a player manager for a local football team as well, so I coach youth football right the way up and coaching the senior side now as well.
Prior to social work, I had 3 decades almost over in retail, in menswear. So I thought maybe I'll get down that road and do a bit of that. And the experience was wonderful in that. And then decided really, well, Breeze, my wife, had said, would you maybe like to consider doing some study? Did 2 years of a HNC course, and at the end of that, the course director had said, would you consider social work? Had not considered it in the least, and it was a bit different because we're still a youngish family and that. But no, it was a great decision. It was good to do.
I think as well, I had gone in while still teaching 3 days a week in school, and sort of that decision had made how to progress my career. So I'd gone back to Belfast Met and studied my HNC fast track part-time whilst working. So certainly having had that experience and having had the previous experience in university as well, it was really looking at both of them and looking at the positives that Belfast Met provided, both in the quality of teaching that was provided by professionals on the HNC course, as well as the level of pastoral care that was provided by your lecturers as well. I know university is different because they do have the larger numbers, and moving into Belfast Met with the smaller class sizes, you really felt that you built up a relationship with your lecturers and they got to know you and can provide you with just that wee bit of extra support than maybe what the likes of university could provide for someone, which I know can be a personal preference, but definitely worked out for the better for myself.
Well, for me, it was the logistics in many respects, in that it was close enough to where I lived, but there was good transport. Again, kind of cutting down on costs as such, really, that worked out very well. Belfast Met had been recommended to me by my course tutor, what I talked about, the HNC, in terms of some people are very academically gifted, other people are practically gifted. I had more, I think, practical skills, so I felt it was going to be a comfortable surroundings for me. Also, there was a smaller maybe lecture sort of structure and setup. It was much more, it wasn't casual, but it was much more sort of, it just seemed to me to be much more friendly sort of setting, and somewhere I thought I could just sort of link in quite easy without, there's enough pressure in the study, you know, without, if you can minimise whatever you can certainly do that in picking places to be and study, so it worked out fine. It was excellent, it was all good advice. I qualified in 2010, so at that time we were just in the midst of austerity and the economic crash, and recruitment was difficult. So I was in and out of the trust and in and out of probation. I had my final placement with probation and just loved it, wanted to do it. So I drifted in and out. At that stage there was fixed term contracts, so you would maybe be working for 6 months and 3 months and a year, and then you were out and into the trust and back into probation. And probation was what I always wanted to do, and I just hung in with it and stayed with it. So actually took 6 years to get a full-time post, which seems bizarre, but when you realise what you want to do, and a placement is a very, very important thing, it really informs you and you really know whether you can do it or not. And I get the same great sort of encouragement and motivation in probation from colleagues as I did in Belfast Met, so yeah.
Yes, I suppose mine was slightly different, whereas I went from placement, where I was in placement work within the older people's programme based in Bangor, so I went where my second placement was and went directly into a full-time post. So I'll now be in post 2 years, or have been in post 2 years from the 8th of June, working in the older people's programme in Bangor, yeah. Again, a lot of it can be down to your personal preference. So I previously mentioned mine was coming into those smaller group settings and having the experience at Belfast Met. I know there's a range of different options that can be considered. So if you are thinking about it, definitely go for it. But have a think about what suits you personally and what will work best for you before making that jump in application.
Well, with the experience I've had, I would just say do it, go for it. I can speak a wee bit different from Stephen in that I am one of the sort of older ones, and it was a very welcoming sort of environment for an older student as such, an entirely different educational experience than I would have had maybe in my younger years. Certainly it's a very welcoming environment, but people do probably maybe do not realise the sort of wealth of skills they already have that is applicable within the social work role, and those will be finely tuned and honed within the degree course, so yeah. Do it.
And I think as well, even social work gives you a broad range of different disciplines you can go into from it as well. So in terms of maybe different options where you're constrained to the one option, social work will enable you to look at the different options and find your niche and what works for you as well. So there are plenty of opportunities within social work for your career and your career progression.